Hey, what is going on you guys? It's Epic here, and in this video we're going to be counting down 10 things Borderlands 3 actually needs. For this list, I'm going to be excluding stuff we already know will be coming to the game at one point, such as Pearl Essence, and we're also going to try and avoid talking about nitpicks such as certain Vault Hunters being nerfed or buffed. Also, before we start, this list will be in no particular order, so if you see something at number 1 which should be at number 10, then don't be mad. Speaking of number 10, more uses for Iridium. Now, from the start of the game to the end of the game, Iridium actually has quite a handy use. You can use it for pretty much anything you find at Crazy O. But the sad truth is, once you reach the end of the game, Iridium kinda just piles up. Of course, you could use it in the Iridium Fabricator to generate guns, but why would you want to do that when you could just go and farm? So it would be nice to see Gearbox add new usages for Iridium, such as being able to upgrade our Vault Hunter rooms, or more heads and skins, or even buy new vanities for our cars. It would be cool to have some kind of unique appearance for your car if you buy it with Iridium. And coming in at number 9, we have co-op farming, more specifically booting players out when you quit to the main menu. And I know this isn't going to affect anyone, but for someone like myself who likes to save quit farm with friends, it can be a pain when I have to keep inviting them back to the game over and over and over again, only just to quit 10 seconds later because I didn't get the gun I want. This has been an issue since Borderlands 1 10 years ago and is still an issue today. I don't know why they have not added this in yet, but we need to see it come to the game. For a game that revolves around farming, it really breaks the immersion when you have to keep kicking and inviting players back to the game every single time you enter it. And at that point, it's pretty much just more useful to have you both farm alongside each other in separate sessions. Coming in at number 8, we have fix snipers and grenades, and I know we weren't going to talk about it, but they are in a really bad spot right now. Right now in the game, sniper rifles and grenades specifically do not feel as powerful as they should or as they did in Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2. I bet you can't handpick 5 sniper rifles and grenades that can easily get you through a location on a map without you having to use another gun. It's just not possible, and quite frankly, that's because they are underpowered and useless. And let's face it, we all have one thing in common. Nobody gets excited when they see a monocle dropped on the floor at the end of Maliwan Takedown, especially you, Dankster. Coming in at number 7, we have crossplay. Now, this one does kind of tie into the whole subject of co-op farming, but this one would be cool just because, for example, I don't want to pay another $60 just to play on PC when I could play with them same people on console. There's not really much that needs to be said about this feature other than the fact that Gearbox themselves literally said they would add this to the game before release, and they never did, and it seems that they don't have plans to now either. Now, I'm not a wizard, so I don't know just how hard that is to do, but let's face it, most games are adopting this system nowadays, and it would be great to see Borderlands adapt the same one. Coming in at number 6, bring back more of the old Vault Hunters, and also let some of these old Vault Hunters shine through in future DLC. Yes, I'm talking about Tiny Tina and Brick and Mordecai, who didn't get much shine time in the main story, and I'm also talking about Gage or Krieg or Axton or Salvador. What we learned from the Handsome Jackpot DLC is that fans love it when old characters return, no matter how much the Borderlands Reddit does not. So with that being said, it would be great to see some old characters return in future DLC, but we'll just have to find out how Gearbox goes with it. Coming in at number 5 is better writing for future DLCs. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this one because it's kind of a blurred subject. Like myself, I personally enjoyed the story of Borderlands 3, but some people hated it. But there's one thing we can all agree on, and that is that the writing was under par to Borderlands 2. If Gearbox decide to make more DLCs that go down a serious path, they have to write them correctly. For example, the Handsome Jackpot DLC was great, but how cool would it be at the end if a major twist happened where it turned out that Timothy was actually Handsome Jack? This could have resulted in a huge climax with the Crimson Raiders in DLC 4, but sadly it doesn't look like that's going to happen now. But what I'm trying to say here is that if they had wrote that story a little better, fans would have more to be invested in for future DLC. I would much look forward to a climax in DLC 4 than just waiting for DLC 2. Coming in at number 4 is Headhunter Packs. Now, I don't know about you guys, but in Borderlands 2, in my opinion, the Headhunter Packs was the biggest endgame there was in that game. I spent 90% of my game time farming the snowman over and over and over again, and it is to date the most fun I've had in a game. It would be great to see Gearbox release these mini DLCs for like $5 every few months where we can go in, get some cool little mini story, and then a nice little mini raid boss at the end. Coming in at number 3 is DLC Vault Hunters. Now, I know Gearbox said they have no plans to add DLC Vault Hunters and they would much rather expand the current skill trees, but that is a very, very bad idea. Whether or not you or me, people that actually find it quite easy to make these builds and navigate through these long skill trees, that's not the point here. The point is that if Gearbox continues to expand on these skill trees and add more and more and more and more skills, it's going to make it more and more unfriendly for newer players getting into the game. I've played Borderlands since the very first one came out in 2009, and I can tell you guys that my first time seeing these skill trees in Borderlands 3, I was extremely confused. So if that's how me, someone who has played every single Borderlands, feels, then imagine how a new player might feel when they come onto the game in like 4 months time to find that there's 5 different skill trees. That might be great for games like World of Warcraft, but please keep it out of Borderlands. Coming in at number 2 is a grinder-like system for combining anointments. If you played the pre-sequel, you know that there was a weapon grinder where you could put in 4 weapons and it would pop a new weapon out based on what you put in. With anointments taking over endgame builds in Borderlands 3 and just how hard you have to work to get them, it would be awesome to find a new way to get anointments based off what you already have. An interesting idea would be to put in 4 pieces of anointed gear and it will spit out one of those items with one of the anointments that was on them items. This would be a balanced system, not only because you could use up them pieces of anointed gear you just don't want or don't have any need for, and it would also be really balanced because you wouldn't be able to predict what you're going to get out of it. The only probability on what you would get out of it would be what you put in there. So if you put 3 of the same anointment in with 1 random anointment, then you would have a better chance to get the anointment on the 3 pieces of gear. And the same thing would go if you put in the same 3 guns. You would have a better chance to get that anointment on the gun you put in. Overall, I think it would be a very, very fun and balanced system, and not only that, a really cool way to get new anointments. And finally, coming in at number 1 is more raid bosses in the game, especially at the end of DLCs. The Handsome Jackpot was an absolutely phenomenal DLC, but sadly it's just not there. And you know why it's not there? Because there's no raid boss to farm at the end of the DLC. Almost every DLC since Borderlands 1 up to Borderlands 2 had a raid boss in DLCs, and it made it extremely fun to farm. And I was absolutely blown away at the end of the Handsome Jackpot DLC when I found out that there was no raid boss to farm. It could be 1 raid boss per DLC, but quite frankly that wouldn't matter because it would add an end game activity. Need further proof that this is a good idea? Well, Wotan the Invincible, an invincible boss right now, is the only boss people want to farm at the end of the game. Not because they like running the takedown, but because they just like fighting invincibles, because it's what Borderlands has always done so great. I think if this game wants to succeed and bring back old players, they need to find a way to add more raid bosses into the game. DLC 2 is right around the corner and would be a great starting point to do this. But with that being said, guys, that's going to do it for this list. I do hope you enjoyed. Please give me your thoughts in the comments section down below, and if you did enjoy the video, a like and sub is very appreciated. Also, if you're already subscribed, be sure to hit that bell to get notifications whenever I post a new video. But with that being said, guys, as always, thank you for your support. Thank you for watching the video. The Discord link is in the description if you want to get involved with me and my community. And on that note, have a nice day.